Isn't we supposed to be having a fiesta?
Watch this.
Go Spurs Nation. Hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. We're here to talk Spurs basketball. We're going to go over a couple of key points that were in the news. Keita Bates Diop is one of them, right? He got signed to a two-way deal. So let me go ahead and bring up my agenda for today so we can kind of go ahead and get a look at it. We're going to look at Keita Bates Diop, right? We get released Chandler Hutchinson. We still got a couple of questions on the board regarding Thaddeus Young and Farouq Aminu. Some questions. We're going to look into what the Spurs roster looks like right now, and then we're going to go ahead and take a Q&A at the end of the show, right? So just want to let you guys know that Spurs Nation, I appreciate you being in here. If you want to support the channel, all you got to do is subscribe to this channel. So thank you guys for doing that. Smash that like button down below. Chant Go Spurs Go when you do. Hit the notification bell so you get notified when we go live on this channel and when we drop new content. Leave a comment, even if it's as simple as GSG. I appreciate you guys. Share this video with the rest of Spurs Nation. If you want to support this show and improve the quality of this show and really be a backbone supporter of this channel, go to the Patreon link in the description below and check out everything we got going on there. Thank you guys for watching. Go ahead to go to SpursTubeTV.com and check out the website. There's a lot of content there for you guys to check out, videos, podcasts, and so much more, right? So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. It's going to be a lot of fun. Go Spurs Go. Again, Spurs Film Room is brought to you by SpursTube TV.
Liftoff. Hey, isn't we supposed to be having a fiesta?
Watch this.
Hey, isn't we supposed to be having a fiesta?
Spurs Nation, those of you guys hanging out with us, thank you for that little technical difficulty. Still getting a little bit of Wi-Fi friction over here on my end. So again, if I get kicked off the stream, it's because the Wi-Fi just went out, right? Like right now. So again, I'm trying to get that fixed over here on my end. But nonetheless, we are back. The show is back on. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Go Spurs go. Again, we have an agenda here today. Let me go ahead and pull up my screen so we can talk about it. Kind of want to get your takes on some of these news points that have happened this past week, Spurs Nation. So let me go ahead and get my screen out here. Let me go ahead and share it. All right, let me get it up here on the screen. All right, guys. So today's agenda, you guys let me know what you guys think about some of this news that went down this week in Spurs Nation. First thing that we should probably talk about is shout out to Keita Bates Diop for getting a 2-year deal. Sorry, it's not a two-way contract here. Let me go ahead and correct this. What's here on screen? But we signed Keita Bates to a 2-year deal. Let me correct this. Put some respect on this man's name. He's not a two-way player anymore. 2-year contract. All right. Make this bigger. All right, here we go. All right, now we're back. Now we got the information correct, right? So Keita Bates and the Spurs agreed to a 2-year contract. I think this is great news. I'm a really big fan of Keita Bates Diop. I really like what I saw this past year. I think that he was one of those players that didn't get much opportunity, but every time he got opportunity this season, he impressed me every single time he was on the floor. If it was just in garbage time or if it was coming in clutch minutes, there was a couple games this season where Keita, was asked to step up in a big way, right? He was asked to do a little bit more than maybe we were paying him to do, right? And he got there was a couple games here this past season, I don't know if you guys would agree with me or not, where he got the call over Trey Lyles, and that was telling to me. So that told me either Trey Lyles wasn't gelling well this season, or Keita Bates Diop was just proving in practice that he was better than a lot of other players. And those of you guys that are in here in the chat, let me know if KBD is a good piece for this team. We signed him to a 2-year deal, which is great for him. First off, like he's been a player that's been on a couple different teams. He's been trying to work on finding his fit and his role with, in the NBA. So that's a whole other thing, right? And I think that the Spurs giving him this contract not only just locks him into like the Spurs for the next 2 years possibly, but it locks him into his job. And I think the Spurs have done a great job with making like the right moves for the player, like guaranteeing Drew Eubanks his money, right? Stuff like that. The Spurs have been making those type of moves that secure the future for these players, right? Like if Keita is playing with the Spurs or not by the end of the season, next season, who cares? He's got himself a contract that's going to be good for 2 years, and he's earned that. And, that's what I'm saying. Like, at least for what he has done in San Antonio, he's earned this contract. I think that when he came in, like I said, he didn't disappoint. He was always a terrific finisher at the rim. He was a good passer. I think on defense, he improved, right? Like, I know that there were some times where I felt like I was getting on him for something on defense, but really it wasn't his mistake. It was like someone else's mistake that he ended up covering for, right? So, shout out to Keita Bates Diop and getting that contract. And I'm just, there's been some pictures out there too, like during the Fiesta time where Keita was at Fiesta with, Derek White and some of these guys, that went, Lonnie, Keldon or whatever. I don't know if Keldon was there or not, but Drew Eubanks, a lot of these guys went out to Fiesta, and Keita was there with our young group. So it makes me feel like, there's some type of camaraderie going on there too, that maybe they like Keita Bates Diop, the young guys, maybe he's gelling well with the team. And like I said, culture and fit is very important in San Antonio. So I think he did his job and keeping his head down and going to work. And I think that's why he got this contract extension, right? So I'm very happy for him, very proud of him. I'm very happy for him and his family. For locking in his future for another few years. Now, hopefully he gets his head down, goes to work, and keeps getting better, because we're going to go over the roster in a little bit, and we're going to need Keita Bates Diop to come through this season. Last year we kind of really didn't need him to, because we had guys like Rudy Gay and Trey Lyles and some of these other dudes on the roster that aren't there no more. And so there's going to be expectation for him this season, and it might be in a small role. If it's in a small role, that's fine. But I want him to just flourish in whatever it is we ask him to do. And I love that he's a Spursy type guy, Spurs headed, person. So I think the Spurs see that too, and that's why it's a great fit, and that's why we're looking to bring him back. He provides a lot of versatility at the forward position, I think, and he provides a body that can guard some of the bigger small forwards in the league, right? So great news for Keita Bates Diop and the Spurs agreeing to this deal, right? Good job on that. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic here, and that is that soon after we signed Keita Bates Diop, we waived Chandler Hutchinson. Now, Chandler Hutchinson came in to the Spurs on that three-way deal, that three-team deal with the Washington Wizards. I think most of Spurs Nation is not surprised by this. I think we all kind of saw the writing on the wall that, his acquisition was purely like a transaction, making the money work and deals and whatever. And so, yeah, we acquired him, and now we're waiving him. And so he's going to be a free agent on the open market this year. It's signing Keita Bates Diop, I think, led to the release of Chandler Hutchinson, because if you're going to ask me, compare these two players, which player has a higher ceiling? Maybe Chandler Hutchinson does. Which player is more athletic? Maybe Chandler Hutchinson, right? Which player can shoot the ball better? Maybe even we might just be naming Chandler Hutchinson in all these categories, but which player fits well and develops and fits well with the group that we have? That's Keita Bates Diop. And he's put in the time and that sweat equity. I like to talk about sweat equity. The Spurs care about sweat equity. And I think that's what gave Keita the nod over someone like Chandler Hutchinson. I wasn't saying that it was going to come down to these two, but I was actually thinking that Keita might be on the move. The Spurs didn't have to bring him back, but we did. And to me, that says a lot about character and a lot of things behind the scenes that we don't see. And then Chandler Hutchinson being waived is just kind of goes with the territory. I don't think he was ever part of the plans of the future for this season for the San Antonio Spurs. So that leaves us in a hole right now, like with our roster, right? Like we have too many players. I shouldn't say a hole. We have too many players on our roster, and we have to move some guys. Now, the fact that we brought Keita Bates back and we're going to say, hey, here's 2 more years, really does solidify in my mind that we're not going to keep any of these 2 guys, that we're not going to keep Thaddeus Young or for Farouq Aminu on this roster moving forward. So let's take a look at what our roster is looking like right now and kind of what needs to happen when we get right back. Here's a quick word from SpursTubeTV.com. So I want to know a little bit about what you guys are thinking on Keita Bates Diop. So I'm going to go ahead into the chat room really quick before we dive into the roster. Jake, go Spurs go. Aaron, go Spurs go. Appreciate you guys stopping back. What's up, Trevor? Sean Michael, what's up? Go Spurs go. Roy Rez and Pop, we trust. Absolutely. Aaron says that KBD, that's Keita Bates Diop, is a good piece for team chemistry. And that's kind of what I was talking about too, right? There seems to be a bond happening there. And it's very similar to like Drew Eubanks, right? Like we all know that Drew Eubanks isn't, the best backup center out there, or even the best third string center out there, technically on paper. But for San Antonio, I think he's one of the best fits that you can ask for. Drew Eubanks has proven his character belongs on this roster and belongs in this organization. And I think that Keita Bates Diop has done that too over this past season and proved that, yes, he can play on this level. He's shown that. His ceiling is a little bit lower than some of these other players, but the fit and the chemistry is right on point. It kills says, you got to let me know if it's IT or it kills. It kills says Diop always had his head up with very limited time. He was solid. Yeah, sometimes he would come in. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier. It's like he would come in either in garbage time or when he had to play with the first or second unit, he was never a problem. Like he never just stood out and was like, oh man, he messed up and he's causing us buckets or whatever. And he would finish on the offensive end. So I really like what he brought to the table. Also says Kills also says, I like KBD over Hutchinson. KBD knows our way. Absolutely. Jetpack Laser. Oh, no, I'm not going to put that one on there. All right. So It Kills goes ahead and says, I know we won't, but I'd love to see us package Forbes and Thaddeus for better pieces or picks. That's interesting, right? Thaddeus. All right. So yeah, that's very interesting, right? So what are we going to do? That brings us back to our main topic for today. And that's kind of, I'm going to take more of your questions, guys, Spurs Nation. So if you want to get your question talked about on screen, go ahead and leave them in the chat. I'm going to scroll through the chat in a little while and take your questions. So that brings us to the main point here about our roster. So let's bring our presentation back up on screen. So our roster looks like this right now. Currently, point guard spots. Let's dive into this. Oops. Let's go ahead and dive into our roster here. For point guards, we have DeJounte Murray and Trey Jones. I think, this is my classification, guys. I know, we can throw a lot of these players into different positions. Some of the small forwards can be power forwards. Power forwards can be centers. Shooting guards can be point guards. I know. It's all there. But let's go through it. Like cousin it. Oh, okay. Like the picture. Oh my gosh, that's my bad. Cousin it. Yeah. All right. So point guards, guys, we have DeJounte Murray and Trey Jones. That's first two guys on our roster. And these are not, put into any type of order as well with the numbering. Okay, I'm just numbering the players that are on our squad. Shooting guards, we got Derek White, Lonnie Walker, Bryn Forbes, and Joshua Primo is who I have here in the shooting guard slot. Like I said, I know that Derek White's pretty much a point guard as well. Some of us think that Bryn Forbes might be playing a little bit of point guard this season. Doesn't really matter right now. We're just counting players. All right, so we're at 6 right now. Right, with our new rookie Joshua Primo in the mix. All right, so let's take a look at our small forwards. We got Doug McDermott, Keldon Johnson, and Devin Vassell. So right here, we're at 9 players, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at our power forwards, and then we'll jump to our centers here in a little bit. So our power forwards, we got Luka Samanic, Keita Bates Diop. I know he's listed as a small forward, but I think we see him playing power forward, a little stretch, a little in between 3 and 4. So, we can put Keita Bates on the small forward slot or the power forward slot. Doesn't matter. I just think we need more depth here at the power forward position. And so that's why Keita Bates Diop is going to be here. And then also newly acquired Jock Landale. I know he's also like a stretch 4, stretch 5. I think that he can slide in here at the 4 a little bit better in the NBA than he would playing at center. Talking about Jock Landale, right? I think he's very skilled. He has a great shot. He has a great attitude. I think we're going to love a player like him in San Antonio. I just think that playing in the center spot is going to be situational. It's going to be lineup specific with Jock Landale. So I see him more sliding into the power forward position this season. And then let's look at our centers really quick. So we have Jakob Poeltl, who's probably going to start this year at center. We have Drew Ebanks, and we have Zach Collins. Zach Collins is also a piece that it has a lot of question marks in the terms of is he going to play 4 or 5 primarily? Like he can play both, but where is he going to get the most chunk of minutes from this season? And I wouldn't throw out the idea of Zach Collins and Jakob starting together if Zach Collins can be healthy. I still like Luka Samanic starting. I was watching the San Antonio versus Memphis playing game. And one thing that glared out to me, guys, is that we need size and that Jakob needs help guarding the rim. I know that we had Keldon Johnson and DeMar DeRozan as our small and power forward last year. That was just not enough. We did not have nearly enough protection at the rim. Jakob did a great job protecting the rim, but needs help when he gets beat or someone's, we can't just have DeMar DeRozan at the power forward or even Keldon Johnson for that matter. I think Keldon Johnson slides to the 3 spot. That's kind of why I put him here under small forward, Keldon Johnson, instead of power forward, because I feel like we just need more size. So I wouldn't rule out Zach Collins starting at the 4 or Luka Samanic, guys, provides that size and athleticism and strength. He's gotten a lot bigger and stronger in the past 2 years. So I wouldn't rule out someone like Luka getting a starting look. I think it's a great idea to pair him with Jakob Poeltl in the starting lineup. All right, so now let's talk about who needs to get cut and or waived or traded, right? So Chandler Hutchinson is now off the books. We're sitting at 18 players, right? That's where we're sitting at right now. Also, let me go ahead and talk about our 2-way contracts, right? We can have two-way guys on our books. One of those is our second round pick from this year, Joe Wieskamp, and then we have one more spot to fill. Now, I don't think that any of these three players over here are going to be those two-way guys. So we're actually going to acquire someone else. The Spurs are going to acquire and bring someone else in who's going to fill that two-way contract slot, right? And they'll be in Austin primarily, right? They won't be with the Spurs. But we still have that spot to fill. Now, there's been a lot of rumors out there on what we do. I have been someone who's been saying, hey, man, Thaddeus Young and Farouq Aminu should stay. We should try to keep them this season, let them walk next year, but use their versatility at the power forward, small forward spots because that only makes us deeper, right? But I think it's pretty obvious. The writing is on the wall. There's been reports out there that the Spurs are shopping Thaddeus Young. We haven't heard too much on Farouq Aminu, but you got to know that the demand is there for Thaddeus, and the demand probably is not there for Farouq Aminu, right? So that's probably why we're not hearing about it. But I think it's safe to say that the Spurs are shopping both of these guys, right? So, so what do you guys want to do? First off, because here's the conundrum that we're in if we're the San Antonio Spurs. We have to trade these two players, Farouq Aminu and Thaddeus Young, and we have to acquire assets without adding people to our roster. Because to go back and let's look at our roster here for a second. Now, we went through number 1 through 15. Now, if you're going to tell me it's those 15 guys that are going to be on this roster next season, and Joe Wieskamp and someone else, right? These players over here are not going to be in the mix. So, meaning if we end up trading Thaddeus Young, like let's say to Phoenix, like it's been reported out there that, this, it's been reported that we're talking to a couple different people, but a package from Phoenix would include maybe someone like Dario Saric, who is going to be off an ACL injury pretty much this whole season. He's not going to be able to play. So acquiring Dario Saric for a future, for someone in the future makes a lot of sense, right? Like to try to keep Dario Saric for next year or the season after and worry about the contract later. That makes sense. And also, do we acquire, is it Jalen Smith, right? Jalen Smith was the rookie last year from Phoenix, right? So who's a sophomore this year who has a lot of potential, a lot of potential in that center, that young center. So if we're going to acquire players back from Phoenix, that means that we're going to have to move more roster spots out of these 1 through 15 guys, right? And someone in the chat, I forgot who it was, said, hey, can we try to package Bryn Forbes? Man, that would be very uncharacteristic of the Spurs to sign Bryn Forbes, and they did the whole press release with Bryn Forbes, and he was saying that he's excited to be back in San Antonio and get some more run in with these young players that he's already been working with for a while. So it just, to me, all signs are pointing to Bryn Forbes is going to be here this entire season. And I think he's on a 1-year deal, right? So he'll be a free agent next year, Bryn Forbes, right? So that'll open up a spot on this roster for the future if we don't bring Bryn Forbes back. But what about right now? I don't think we're planning to deal Bryn Forbes right now. I don't think that's what it is. It would just be very weird if we did. So these two guys, man, what do we do with them? We're gonna have to somehow flip Thaddeus Young and Farouq Aminu for assets that are not currently players that are on the active list. So maybe Dario Saric works in a future pick or something like that, and maybe we can make a deal with Phoenix. Farouq Aminu, I think he's at least worth a second rounder or 2 second rounders or something like that. So flipping these two players is the number one and pretty much the last moves that need to happen here for the San Antonio Spurs before they go into training camp. Now, training camp starts for the NBA on September 28th. So that's like in 16 days. So in 16 days, Brian Wright and the San Antonio Spurs need to decide what it is that we're going to do with Thaddeus Young and Farouq Aminu. Now, I believe that they can still be on the roster at the start of training camp, but then that means that some other players are going to get moved. And I don't think that's what the Spurs want to do. I think we want to keep these guys that we kind of invested in already with Drew Eubanks and Keita Bates Diop, and we want to pay these guys like we did. We want to guarantee their money. Now we want to give them opportunity to run and play. And I think that's what our plan is, not to bring these guys in anymore. So over the next few weeks, it wouldn't be surprising to hear, that the Spurs have traded Thad Young and Farouq Aminu It's just for what? For what is the main question. Now, don't be thinking players, because unless we're attaching a player like a Lonnie Walker or a Bryn Forbes or a Trey Jones, I really don't see us moving anybody along with one of these two players to get them moved. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's that's the look that we're going to go with. So most likely it's going to be future assets and maybe a player that is not going to be on the roster this season for some reason. I'm not sure if Dario Sarge counts in that scenario, which is very interesting. Because he's a player that fits, I think, the Spurs mold, right? He's someone that I've had my eye on for a while. So, guys, we're gonna go ahead and call it a wrap here before the Wi-Fi goes out again. Just want to remind you guys that Spurs Film Room is presented by Spurs Tube TV. That is the home of the post-game show this season for the Spurs after the buzzer. That's going to be only on Spurs Tube TV's YouTube channel, Facebook page. And you can go to SpursTubeTV.com to catch it there as well. The schedule is going to be released very soon. When you head over to the website, it looks like this. You'll always be informed on when the next post-game show is on the website. Go ahead and check out the website. You can look at tickets, real cheap tickets from Score Big. If you're looking to go to a Spurs game or if you're trying to find some official Spurs gear, you can check out the link to Fanatics and it'll take you to their Spurs shop as well. So go ahead and head over to that website and check out all the good stuff going on over there. So let me go ahead and turn it over to the chat room here really quick and see what we got. All right. So Rob Martinez, what's going on, Rob? Rob asks, when will we see the return of Justin Robinson 50? I think he made a good statement in the summer league. If that's who you're talking about, is David Robinson's son. He made a statement in the league. I think that he's worth a flyer. Like he's worth a two-way contract. He's worth for some team to bring him in and develop. So, hey man, we have a open two-way spot left to dish out. Right. And so maybe Justin Robinson is one of those guys. Right. So, but he would be primarily in Austin. I like him. All right. Oh yeah. So It Kills was asking the same thing. Yeah, it is. All right. So let's see what else we got in here. Danilo Tabangukara. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Thaddeus Young for Sarge and Jalen Smith. See, that's the one that we're hearing a lot about, and I love that deal. But what does that mean, like for our roster? Do we sign? I don't think we can sign Jalen Smith to a two-way contract because he was a lottery pick, right? So he's making $4, $5, $6 million a year. So that's really interesting on what we do if that's the case. But I would like that deal. It would be a very interesting deal. So we'll see how that works out. Roy Rez says, what's up, Roy Rez? Roy says, cut Aminu for sure. But I think we should keep Thaddeus for the experience he can show our young guns. Hey, man, that's my thought process too. Is Thaddeus Young can help this team. Like, yes, ultimately he's not gonna help us like get to the championship or win a championship, but he can definitely help our young players. He can help he can honestly just fill a hole in the roster as well. Like he's no scrub. Like he's 6'8" or whatever he is, long, athletic. He's a veteran. He can still put up 10 to 12 points a game. He still gets after it, 7-8 rebounds, right? So he can definitely show and be a veteran in this locker room, show our young guys how to do things the right way. So I agree with you there, but most likely he's going to be gone. Like I said, I think we're signing some of these moves like Keita Bates Diop and stuff like that are kind of pushing towards us moving those two guys. It Kills says, if we keep Thad, would be a great fit, but I know he has value out there. Yeah, he does have value. So if we can flip Thaddeus Young for anything, even a future first round pick, that would be great. That would be awesome. If we can flip Thaddeus Young for Phoenix's first round pick next year, like maybe it's a late 20s, late 25, 27 pick. Oh man, I would eat that up. I would love that. Shout out to Gregory Castillo. What's going on, Greg? Spurs versus everybody. Shout out Greg Castillo. Would you trade Lonnie to open up minutes for Primo, Trey Jones, Vassell, having a vet and while having a veteran like Forbes? I don't trade Lonnie. I think if I understand this right, I give Lonnie the whole season. To do what he does. to show what he can do and show that he belongs on this team and he earns that he deserves that extension and minutes and all that stuff. So I keep Lonnie. I think Trey Jones, Vassell, and Primo need time to compete for their minutes and their opportunity, because here's the thing, Greg, like I know Vassell is probably right there next to Lonnie skill wise and all that stuff. Primo has a very high ceiling, just as high as Lonnie's, if you were to ask me. But the thing is, like guys like Lonnie, Derek, and DeJounte, and even Keldon and Luka, they've all had to now earn this opportunity that they're about to get. I think this year is the year. We're going to give them the ball. And we're going to say, go ball out. Now it's your turn, guys. Now it's your turn. You've been waiting. You've been patient. You've been buying into the system. You've gone to Austin. You've done all that stuff. Now it's your turn for the minutes. Now, I think Trey Jones and Primo and Vassell's probably the one that's going to get minutes regardless of how good Lonnie Walker is. But the other guys like Trey Jones and Vassell, Trey Jones and Primo, I think they still have to earn a little bit more of sweat equity, right? We talked about sweat equity earlier in the show. I don't know if you were here, but I was talking about how I think the Spurs value how much a person pours their sweat, blood, and tears into the organization, into that gym, and they reward that. Hence Eubanks and Keita Bates Diop. And Forbes is the big question mark. Probably one of the biggest question marks for me going into this season is exactly what are our plans exactly for Bryn? Because I was talking with Damian Bartnick on the show a few weeks ago, and he was talking about how there's like a recipe out there to be successful with Bryn Forbes, right? The Spurs just got to be able to follow that recipe, right? Roy Rez says this is a hard decision for Brian Wright. I absolutely agree. ERN says, what's up, ERN? I don't know if I've seen you in here before. It says, can't wait to see what Pop does with the roster rotations. I know, because it's going to be sick. I don't think we can lose as Spurs fans. The only way we can lose as Spurs fans is literally if like we give Bryn Forbes 28 minutes a game, which, I'm not trying to dog on Bryn Forbes, but really that's the only way we can lose. I mean, a lot of these young guys are going to get their minutes and get their opportunity. It's going to be exciting to see. Roy Rez is thinking of another question to keep the show going. Appreciate you, Roy, for hanging out. Ruru's in the house. Ruru 3000, shout out. Spurs super fan Ruru says, I don't even think Forbes is going to play a whole lot. Think Spurs brought him back for culture building and teaching their young guys. We got these past 2 years of the Spurs way and some championship experience from Forbes, right? So I agree, man. I honestly, I think that's the number one reason is, hey, bringing Bryn Forbes back is a good look for the Spurs. It doesn't do anything but bring, when you're talking about, everything else besides basketball, Bryn Forbes can bring a lot to the table. So for the culture, for sure. Worst case scenario, Aaron is asking, is that a buyout? Excuse me. I'm not too sure. If we have a buyout with Thaddeus Young, if worst case scenario with these buyouts, if we end up buying out Farouq Aminu and Thaddeus Young, I don't think that's too bad because they're both, I think, going to be unrestricted free agents next year. So it's not like we're going to be in a pickle with their money for years and years if we buy them out. So it's not too bad. Ruru says this is a make or break year for Lonnie and Luka, in my opinion. Have to see if they are going to be a part of the long-term situation to get back to contending. I agree absolutely. I think they're gonna be all right. It Kill says Bryn's gonna make me lose my mind up in here. Shout out R.I.P. DMX. Tyler Meinhold says, in my opinion, nobody is untouchable on this roster. I mean, if you're talking about we don't have a superstar, so everyone else can go until we get one, then sure. But I think there's a lot of players that are untouchable right now just because of Spurs culture and Spurs way. That's my opinion. Zayed Farron says, do you think Jakob and Landale are playable in the same lineup? Oh, for sure. I think Landale is going to be playable with just about everybody. If you put him at the 5, I think he's playable with some smaller lineups. I think if you put him with a big, if that's Jakob or Zach Collins or whoever, and they're playing a little bit of high-low basketball, I think it's just smart. I think he's a great passer, so I think he's going to fit well with almost about every lineup that he's in. So that's going to be very interesting to see. First, we got to see how Jock defends in the NBA level, right? How well is his defense, and then that kind of will tell us exactly more where his fit is. John Jose C. Sanchez says, "Sup, Spurs fans? Go Spurs, go!" John, thank you for hanging out. Wadu Heek says, "Let's see what the young guys are made of." That's what the season is all about. That should be like the poster on the season. You know how like the Spurs release like a video, and it should be like it goes to black, fades to black, and it's just like, let's see what we're made of, right? ... Fade away. I love that. Ruru says, "Can you believe Spurs are now one of the youngest rosters in the league? I don't think Pop has ever had a youthful team like this ever." Let me see. Can I believe it? Let me see. What time is it? I'm 32 years old. Yeah. I could believe it a little bit, man. I'm getting old. I am getting old, man. For so long, we've been one of the oldest teams, right? Since I was like 13 years old, right? Since I was like 13, 14 years old, we've been one of the oldest teams in the league. And now I'm here sitting at 32 and we're finally probably going to be the youngest or one of the youngest teams in the league. So yeah, time flies, and it is crazy that we're in the situation that we're in, but we're prepared, and we have a lot of guys with upside. So I'm into it. I'm into it. Aaron L asks, "I like how the young core went through the G League and knows how to set up Luka example, Trey, Lonnie, and KJ. Oh, wait, I'm not sure if I read that wrong. Right. But yeah, man, it's crazy how a lot of our players are all products of the G League, and we're about to see all that kind of come to fruition here over the next season, right? So it's going to be very interesting, and it's be interesting in a lot of ways, but to see our work pay off, our Austin affiliate system kind of pay off. Yeah, this year is a big year for all that. Ruru, thanks for the question, Ruru. Spurs fan 17 says, "I hope Derek White can stay healthy all season." That's going to be probably our biggest X factor, right? We talk about X factors. It can be Luka, it can be Lonnie Walker, it can be, a lot of different things. But realistically, it's Derek White staying healthy. Absolutely. All right, we're gonna take a few more of these, and then I gotta go because I hear the baby crying. I hear the little boy. So I'm gonna go help my wife out here for a little bit. But a few more. Freddie B says, "I think that they should get rid of Jakob because he's too soft in the paint and he doesn't score consistently." Yeah, he needs to step up in the offensive side of the ball. But I think his defense is top notch. Like I said earlier in the season, I think he needs help, man. Just this lineup that he was in with DeMar and Keldon as your 3 and 4 really doesn't provide a lot of support protecting the rim. It really does put it all on Jakob. And I think he needs a little bit of help. So he needs some size there with him. So let's wait and see on Jakob, because I love Jakob, but he needs to be able to score a little bit better. I agree. Like, he needs to at least be a threat on the offensive end. Can we get him like in lob situations? Can he finish plays where the guards kind of just dribble and create for him? Stuff like that. All right. So let's see. Zayed says, "Imagine a lineup with Landale, Samanage, McDermott, White, and Murray." Whoo, I like that. That's why it's going to be very exciting. It's going to be very exciting season, right? For lineups like these, for sure. All right, guys. So let me see. I'm about to close it up here. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you, John. Welcome to the show. Ruru, it's good to see you. It Kills, thank you for stopping by. Zayad as well. Thank you guys for being active in this chat room. Spurs fan 17, Aaron, thank you guys. Hope if I missed you guys, sorry, man. Roy, thank you guys for hanging out. Danilo, thank you guys for stopping by. All right, guys. So again, sorry about the technical difficulty in the beginning of the show. My Wi-Fi has just been really, really weird. So we should be back here on Tuesday. I'm gonna try to drop off some. I'm gonna try to drop some Spurs film room play breakdowns, kind of like I did with the sideline out of bounds play yesterday. So stay tuned for that. Again, guys, go to SpursTubeTV.com. Check out all the great stuff that's going on that website. You can find videos, podcasts from myself, from other Spurs content creators out there. You can also check out the merch from my store for other Spurs creators as well. There's a lot going on at SpursTubeTV.com, really trying to make that channel, like your home for Spurs content. Everything you need for Spurs basketball, if you're a Spurs fan, can be found there at SpursTubeTV.com, as well as your home for the post-game shows coming up for this season, right? Those of you guys that followed Order on the Court, you're familiar with After the Buzzer. It's our post-game show. So check out the link to the channel, and you can stay linked up with us all season long as we do post-games for you guys. So it should be a lot of fun. So thank you all for stopping by. Go Spurs Go. Again, smash the like button if you enjoyed this episode. Chant Go Spurs Go when you do. Subscribe to the channel. The growth has been awesome. Just can't thank Spurs Nation enough. It's very exciting right now. Very exciting time for me because of the season coming up. Just unbelievable growth here on the channel, and just so excited to see what the Spurs do. Like we were saying earlier, right? See what the young guns are made of, right? So it's going to be a very interesting season for us. So shout out to Keita Bates Diop for getting that paper and signing that deal and getting that bag. And thank you guys for hanging out. Go Spurs, go.